China has just sold the largest amount of US Treasury bonds in history. This unprecedented move could have a huge impact on global markets and the economic relationship between China and the United States. In this video, we will talk about why China made this decision to dump the largest US Treasuries in history and what it means for both countries. But before this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to get regular updates. Let's get started. China's record sell-off. Impact on US economy. In the first quarter of 2024, China made headlines with a historic and unprecedented move by selling off $53.3 billion worth of US Treasuries and agency debt bonds. This is the largest single sell-off by China ever recorded and has grabbed the attention of global financial markets. This action has raised many questions about China's intentions and the potential impacts on the US economy. The US is particularly worried about this trend and wants to stop it. The sell-off by China could be seen as an economic attack aimed at destabilizing the US financial system, which heavily relies on the dollar. By reducing its holdings of US Treasuries, China might be trying to weaken the US economy and strengthen its currency, the yuan. This could be part of a bigger plan to challenge the dollar's dominance in global trade and finance. Managing these economic challenges is very important for the US. While the sell-off itself is significant, it's important to look at the bigger picture and think about what China might do next. The US needs to understand why China made this big sell-off and come up with plans to lessen any negative effects on its economy. This could include improving its economic policies, making its financial markets stronger, and building better relationships with other major economies to counter China's actions. Impact on US dollar. China's big sale of US Treasuries in early 2024 has got the attention of experts who study world politics. What's interesting is that this sell-off happened at the same time as the US dollar became less valuable, hitting a low point for the month. China sold a huge amount of $53.3 billion, which is a lot compared to what it usually sells in a few months. This sell-off is a big deal because China usually holds a lot of US government debt. In the past, China has held onto a lot of US Treasuries to help manage its money and keep its currency, the yuan, steady. But now, with this big sell-off, it seems like China might be changing its money and political strategy. This move makes people wonder why China is doing this and what else it might do in the future in the world's money game. This could have big effects on the US and world money markets, so leaders and experts need to keep a close eye on it. Understanding why China sold so many US Treasuries in early 2024 is important. This big sale happened when the US dollar was getting weaker, hitting a low point for the month. The dollar's value dropped because people were worried about how much debt the US had and how interest rates kept changing. These worries probably influenced China's decision to sell a lot of treasuries at that time. China's huge sell-off seems like a smart move to avoid losing money because the dollar was getting weaker. They might have wanted to move their money into safer or better investments. By selling a lot of US government debt, China could be protecting its money and making its economy stronger. This shows that China is changing how it handles its foreign money and overall financial plans. When China sold off so much US debt, it caused a big reaction in financial markets. Bond prices, which usually move in the opposite direction of yields, went up and down a lot as investors tried to figure out what it all meant. People worried that with China selling so much, it could make it more expensive for the US government to borrow money because there wouldn't be as many buyers for treasuries. Global shift. Countries selling US Treasuries. China and other countries are selling off their US Treasuries, which are like loans to the US government, as part of a bigger trend. This is happening because they're worried about the US dollar getting weaker and the US economy's long-term health. In early 2024, China sold $53.3 billion of these treasuries, and even Belgium, a close ally of the US, sold $22 billion at the same time. This shows that many countries are feeling unsure about the US economy and want to invest their money elsewhere. Since 2022, countries in a group called BRICS have been steadily selling off their US Treasuries. This shows they're trying to rely less on the US and find other places to keep their money safe. This big change in how countries handle their money could shake up the global economy and make things less predictable. When big countries like China sell off US debt, it can make it harder for the US government to borrow money. This can cause problems in the bond markets and make things less stable. It also shows that people around the world are starting to worry about how the US makes economic decisions and how healthy its economy is. China's US Treasury sell-off. China selling off $53.3 billion of US Treasuries in early 2024 has made people wonder why and what it means for the world's money. This happened when the US dollar was getting weaker, which was because people were worried about how much debt the US had and other problems like tensions between countries and changing interest rates. China's big sell-off seems like a smart move to avoid losing money because the US dollar was getting weaker. They might have wanted to move their money into safer investments, but this has made the bond markets go up and down a lot, which could make it harder for the US government to borrow money and manage its finances. Other countries, like Belgium, are also selling off their US debt, showing they're worried too. This could mean they're trying to find safer places to keep their money. China has also been buying a lot of gold, which is seen as a safe thing to have when things get uncertain. This all shows that countries like China are trying to make their economies stronger and less dependent on others. But it also makes the world's money markets more unpredictable, which can cause problems for everyone. China sold a lot of US Treasuries, worth $53.3 billion, for various reasons. One big reason is to help its economy. China's economy is big, but it has some problems, like making sure there's enough money in the system, keeping its currency stable, and dealing with slower growth. Selling these treasuries gives China cash it can use at home, especially when things are uncertain. Also, China wants to control its currency, the yuan, more, so by selling off US assets, it can manage the value of the yuan better. This helps protect the yuan from problems caused by US economic policies or changes in global markets. Keeping the yuan stable is important for China because its economy is connected to the rest of the world through trade and investments. Geopolitical strategy. China's selling of US Treasuries is also a strategic move amid rising tensions with the United States. These two big countries have had lots of conflicts lately, like arguments about trade, tech competition, and military moves in Asia. By selling off US Treasuries, China is showing it wants to rely less on the US, so the US can't control China's economy as much. This move helps China protect itself from any economic threats the US might make. It's like China is trying to break free from relying too much on the US dollar, which could make it vulnerable to pressure from the US. This also fits into a bigger plan by a group of countries called BRICS, which includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These countries are working together to rely less on Western money systems and the US dollar. They want to be more in control of their own money and not rely too much on the US dollar. China's sell-off is a big part of this plan, helping them and other BRICS countries become more independent economically. That's all for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for such interesting videos. Thank you.